pregnant and alone? You have options. The Sanctuary of Hope offers expectant mothers ages 12 to 22 a place to live, medical care, counseling, continued education, and options to raise your baby in a loving environment or help you with adoption. We want to help provide you and your baby with a bright future. Call us or email us today and let's walk through this together. 210-499-1554 or sohcares.org. All inquiries are confidential.
The Dear Agency specializes in helping you understand your coverage before you need it. We offer all lines of personal and commercial insurance, including auto, home, and life. Contact Dawn Dear at 210-507-2169 and visit us at 7529 North Loop 1604 in Live Oak, Texas, or farmersagent.com/ddear.
You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, and we have a special guest today, Ms. Chelsey Youman. She is the Texas State Director and National Legislative Advisor. She is a part of the HuCo Action.org, a sister organization of HumanCoalition.org. And first and foremost, I want to welcome to her show and say, how are you doing?
I'm doing well during this time. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so active right now. There's so many things going around the world with this COVID-19. But before we get into the things that your organization is doing right now, because you all are open for business, you're an essential business. But before we get to all those details, tell us a little bit about yourself, Ms. Chelsey.
Sure. So I am the Texas State Director and National Legislative Advisor for Human Coalition Action, and we basically advocate on behalf of our pregnant clients who are usually coming to our offices on the Human Coalition side, our sister organization. They come in planning to abort. We come alongside them. Our nurses come alongside them and offer them support and care and resources, really whatever it is they need. And they realize they have this wealth of knowledge about women seeking abortion and the why behind that, usually economic reasons are the reasons behind that, and decided they need a voice. They need to be advocated for to our governing officials so that their needs can be met on a broader, more extensive basis. And so that's where we entered the picture at Human Coalition Action, and we advocate for policies that will ultimately help women choose life, empower women, and enable them to have life-affirming decisions to save lives across our country. So I am so grateful to be a part of that and to lead the helm here in Texas, which is obviously a very predominantly pro-life state, and work really hard to advocate on behalf of women and their children.
And when it comes to the HuCoAction.org, the organization that you're part of, how did you get involved? What was it that drew you into the organization?
Sure. So I was at First Liberty Institute practicing religious liberty litigation for years, but always was very, very adamant about my pro-life beliefs. And I am a Christian and just feel that that is, abortion is the greatest moral peril of our time, and that we have millions of children dying every year. And there are reasons for that. And I just wanted to get involved and say, look, there are reasons. We have to understand as a society, what policies will actually promote and change this system, because 75% of women, that we see on our clinic services side say if given the choice, they would prefer to parent. And so I just wanted to get involved and advocate for those women and say, how can we help you parents? Let's make some really positive governing solutions and policy solutions that will impact both women and ultimately save lives at the end. And I love the work. I'm passionate about it. I think that there's, with the coronavirus, we're seeing lots of people come out really understanding the need to protect human life and vulnerable and innocent in our society. And that's the exact same passion that I have for protecting preborn children.
And once again, you listen to 9:30 a.m. The Answer with your host, Shamaya Reed, I Am Refocused Radio. And we're talking to Chelsey Youman, and she's part of the Human Coalition Action. The website is HuCoAction.org. And Chelsey, when it comes to the process of educating women, what is some of the similar questions that your organization receives?
Yeah, so predominantly women come in, and the majority of women seeking abortion have lower income, frankly, and 50% live below the poverty line, the federal poverty line. And so really a lot of women are saying their top two things are they need jobs and they need help with child care, because child care is just incredibly expensive. Most women who are seeking abortion actually already have another child they're caring for, and they're worried about putting food on the table. They're worried about being able to pay their rent, and they're very tangible needs. And when women in those circumstances, in the crisis circumstances, get pregnant, they immediately think, how am I going to make all of this happen? They're usually single, or the fathers aren't in the picture. And so HuCo Coalition comes alongside them and says, let's help you get jobs. Let's help rectify the child care situation. What are our community resources, public, private resources that are available, and really help women facing unplanned pregnancy situations who, the greater risk of uncertainty, the greater the risk they're going to abort. And so when they have a support system come alongside them, they actually prefer to choose life. Like I said, 75% of women who come to us say, if my circumstances were different, I would prefer to parent. And we help empower them to make that choice, whereas abortion is really kind of a quick fix, so to speak, for the situation and doesn't actually help their lives. It doesn't stabilize their lives. It doesn't support them on a long-term basis. And we do that.
And your mission, unify pro-life allies and bring into abortion city by city. When you see the response of women who are seeking resources and educate themselves on this issue, what's some of the feedback that y'all have received from women as far as testimonies?
Well, women, I think a lot of times feel alone in these situations, and that's, of course, magnified right now. We have had an increase on our client services, more calls in the last few days than we've ever had. So it just really goes to speak when society is tumultuous and their circumstances are tumultuous, it's compounded their decision to want to need a way out, and they look for abortion as that way. And we do an exit survey, and 90% of the women we serve, even if they choose abortion at the end of the day, are grateful for our services and give us a perfect score on our exit surveys because, like I said, we come alongside them, we support them through this time up until their child is 3 years old. So these are like long-term stabilizing resources and support systems that they engage with when they engage with HuCo Coalition.
And part of y'all's mission is mobilizing grassroots in local communities. What's some of the examples that this organization does to bring awareness for people who may want to volunteer or just want to join forces with having awareness?
Sure. So having awareness is a huge part of that. And first of all, I think just understanding who these women are. We like to educate. There's so many amazing people in the pro-life community who have served the pro-life movement for 40 years, since Roe versus Wade, 47 years. And we really want to engage and educate them on who the abortion-determined woman is, but also they're already engaged in this issue, and let them know these are the types of policies that we're going to promote that will ultimately save lives by promoting maybe a policy that allows women seeking abortion to have our services before they get an abortion, for instance. Those are the types of policies that actually will save lives, and they sometimes look different, in addition to just your traditional abortion regulations. We support really a holistic approach to serving women. So educating the grassroots is really important, and then ultimately engaging them to help as a private resource for these women in their communities. Even my father-in-law just retired, and he said, what can I do to help and serve this cause? Well, the answer sometimes is time. Sometimes it's throwing a baby shower. Sometimes it is resources. So really creating those on-ramps for people who are already engaged in the movement, already understand the value of life, and helping them engage and mobilize. And of course, vote is also a huge, huge, easy way to keep our state, in the state of Texas at least, Red and elsewhere voting for Republicans who are going to actually put into place life-affirming policies.
And once again, you're listening to 9:30 a.m. The Answer. I'm Refocus Radio Show. We host Shemaya Reed talking to Ms. Chelsey Youman. And you mentioned something about understanding the value of life. Touch on that a little bit. And part two of that is, how does faith play a role with you personally?
Well, of course, I am a Christian, and I actually think the Christian worldview is probably one of the only worldviews that is ultimately the pro-life worldview, and that's because we know we have a creator who created our life specifically for this time, and created us. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and he knows us in the womb, the Bible tells us, and because we are God's creation, we are formed in the image of God, we have innate inherent value as humans. And I think if you look around right now, you're seeing humans really understand and resonate with that, even if they don't know the Lord. They understand we have to fight this virus because we're going to lose lives, and lives are valuable. Lives matter. And the Christian worldview speaks to that. We matter because we are God's creation. We matter because he has an individual purpose for each of us, for his kingdom, and because he loves us. If the God of creation loves us, then, we have inherent dignity and value. And I think that's lockstep with the belief that preborn children who are just inside the womb, developing, just like a 2-year-old has value and a 10-year-old has value and a 60-year-old has value, all at different developmental phases. Children in the womb just have inherent dignity and value and are worthy of protection. They're the most vulnerable among us. They're the most, they can't speak for themselves. They're under advocated for. And that is why, I think I'm pro-life that really resonates with me. And in communities where maybe that's not quite understood, I think we can use this as an opportunity to say, hey, as a society, we understand that everybody matters, and we're coming together as a society. We're taking really great measures to protect the vulnerable among us, and preborn children deserve that same protection.
And recently there was an executive order by our governor, Greg Abbott, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Touch a little bit about that with the audience.
Sure. So the state of Texas, they are making great strides in Texas and Ohio. Governor Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton said that only essential medical services are allowed to stay open right now for very good reason, and that is so that we can delegate those resources for medical services in our state to essential medical services, which is serving ICU victims and serving COVID-19 victims. And that includes the abortion industry. It's a non-essential medical service. It's optional. It doesn't actually treat a disease. And the Attorney General and Governor Abbott have taken great strides to say specifically to the abortion industry, who at first ignored the mandate, this includes you. You need to be serving the healthcare industry and giving over your sanitized masks and gloves. There's a lot of good reasons for that to ensure we have capacity to serve those who are dying. And we really applaud that effort, obviously, not only just to protect life, which is foundational to society. That's the ultimate goal, really right now for everybody, is to protect life against the coronavirus. Well, we protect life in other circumstances. So what that's led to, though, is an influx of huge increase in calls to our Human Coalition call center, which is up and running, serving women every day. We've increased capacity by 340% in the state of Texas in order to make sure we're serving these women who are saying, my circumstances are uncertain. There may be a crisis circumstances. A lot of them have lost their jobs. Unemployment is up. All of this uncertainty really is a motivator for women to choose abortion. And we come alongside them and say, you don't have to choose between your future and your child. You can have both. We're here to help you. We're here to support. There are tangible resources today that are available to you. And we really are coming alongside women during that time.
The Human Coalition is serving over 3,000 clients a month across Texas. Talk to that one woman listening to the show right now. What can she expect when she first talk to someone on the phone, or if she has to shoot an email, how does that step one process start?
Sure. So what she can expect is she can call our virtual clinic and speak to a nurse immediately on the line who's going to help her confirm her pregnancy and ultimately just talk her through her decision making and listen. She can expect someone to listen to her and genuinely care for her beyond her pregnancy and say, why do you want an abortion? What's going on? What needs do you have? That are immediate and even long term, and then how can we help? How can we serve those needs, meet those needs? She's immediately just connected with an entire national network, a rescue system that will help stabilize her circumstances. Private and public resources will be available to her, and somebody who's just going to understand that. And then everyone on our call center, they're professionals. So we have social workers who can help if she's a victim of domestic violence, for instance. We have actual licensed nurses and medical staff available to her if she has questions about if she's afraid of giving birth. Really anything she needs, we are here to support with licensed professionals every step along the way up until her child is 3 and even beyond if she really needs it, So we're really here to just be a long-term safety net for her during this time.
When it comes to people who are interested in getting involved, how can they start that process, and what are the needs that the organization needs right now?
Sure. So I would actually say to the pro-life movement specifically, pregnancy resource centers across the country are closing their doors right now because of everything going on. And we would just urge them now more than ever to remain open like we have and to say, there are women with need by the droves calling. There are women who need to be served right now. And so we can't let life-affirming messages go dark at a moment in time when women need us more than ever. And I think Governor Abbott and Attorney General Paxton completely understood that and, are saying that women can face unplanned pregnancies and we're here to help them. So really I would just urge the pro-life community across the country to continue to engage and understand there are more vulnerable women and preborn children now than ever that need their help and assistance. So whether that's donating directly to Human Coalition, whether that's helping if they're already serving in a pregnancy resource center, keeping the doors open or keeping your call lines open. I know at Human Coalition, we've extended our hours. We've got more staff dedicated than ever to this issue. So just keeping your capacity open to continue to serve women is huge.
You listen to 9:30 a.m. The Answer with your host, Shemaya Reed, on I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Chelsey Youman, Texas State Director and National Legislative Advisor. She is with HuCoAction.org. That's HuCo Action.org. And we're talking about everything that is going on with not just COVID-19, but the options that women do have who have faced unexpected pregnancy. You have children yourself, Chelsey, and for a moment, talk about how have your kids changed your life?
Oh, well, there's that. So it's a better question. How haven't they changed my life? I mean, they changed everything, and for the better. I mean, I laugh every single day. My life is full. My heart is full. My arms are full. So, I mean, just children are such a joy. And I know the Bible tells us that to fill your quiver with arrows, and children are your arrows, because he knows that children are a blessing. And that's so true. They're a blessing to our lives. They're a joy to our lives. Even in moments that are harder than others, the world is always a better place, I think, with my kids than it was without. So I am so grateful for my children, and I think that has certainly given me perspective as I'm serving pregnant women to let them know, like, there's so much fulfillment to be had, beyond their initial circumstances if we can get them there.
And the women that y'all have helped throughout time, if you have a story that comes to mind of a woman that shared her story with the organization, what's one of the reasons why they thought about abortion? And a testimony of when they came to your organization, what changed their mind to make that switch?
I think one of the biggest stories that was so helpful for me to just understand who these women are is there was a woman who already had one child who was a toddler, and she was homeless, and they were living in her car, and she got pregnant and came to our organization, just as like hopeless as you could imagine in that situation. I can barely feed myself and my one child. We're homeless, out of a domestic abuse situation. So there wasn't like a safety or shelter there. And in that scenario, government housing is scary housing to her. Like, she did not want to go to government housing, out of protection for herself and her child. She just really was hopeless, and Human Coalition came alongside her, helped to get her housing, helped get her a job, just to stabilize those situations. And she got to hold her baby and ultimately chose life because of that, and just could see beyond circumstances once the immediate needs were met. And so that's just really insightful for me and touching to me to understand, like, these women, they're different than they're portrayed to be by the media or the left or whomever you imagine these women to be. These are women in need, with immediate needs, an immediate crisis, and they need help. They just, like anyone else in our society, like, they're vulnerable and they need help. And that is just something that's always stuck with me.
When you see how the times we live in, especially with COVID-19 being an extra pressure on people and their families, with people out there who are going through whatever they're going through currently, what would you want to tell them to encourage them to keep pushing forward?
Sure. I would say that God promises to stay with us through our storms, that He promises to be with us in the storm, and that is our hope. And if we can help come alongside you and serve you, like, our doors are open. We switched to a virtual model over a weekend so that you could call us and immediately have help and someone to help sustain you through this time, that you're not alone. There are people here who care, who love you, who want to help you see the silver lining and see that hope in front of you, but who are also equipped to do that even on a professional level. There are resources that are available. It's just a matter of engaging that system so that we can help sort through the issues one by one, help you tackle them one by one, and ultimately come alongside and stabilize. I mean, that's really the goal.
And once again, you listen to I Am Refocused Radio on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, talking to our guest, Ms. Chelsey Youman. She is the Texas State Director and National Legislative Advisor. She's with HuCoAction.org. That's HuCo Action.org. And I want to say thank you for being on the show today. But before we let you go, we got a few minutes left. For those who are listening to this topic right now and they want to get involved and they want to donate, what's the best way that an individual or someone, can come and make a donation to help y'all?
Sure. I would go to HuCoAction.org, HuCo Action.org, and donate there. Or you can go to HumanCoalition.org and donate to our client services side. But we're here, we're advocating, and we are a nonprofit. So all of our services, both whether they're at the policy level or at the dealing with clients every day in and day out, they're all nonprofit services.
And just to take this time, have you speak to this. Why are kids important? Why would you say kids are important?
Well, I spoke a little bit to this earlier, but I mean, children are just like any other human. I mean, they have inherent dignity. God created each child with hope for a future, right? That's what the Bible tells us. They're created in His image. They each have a future. They're here for a purpose. God numbers their days. And if the God of the universe cares to create that person individually with unique gifts and talents and ability, then we as fellow humans should honor that, right? At the very least. So I think children specifically, they're more vulnerable than the rest of the population. They don't have the ability to speak or advocate for themselves like the rest of the population. So it's on us as adults and as believers to do that for them and to protect them and honor them. So I can't speak enough for why children are incredible, but just the inherent way that we're all made as humans, the fact that we are humans is the one common thing that brings us value.
Once again, this is I'm Refocused Radio on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, talking to Chelsey Youman, Texas State Director and National Legislative Advisor. You can find out what she's all about with who she's with, and that organization is HuCoAction.org. That's HUCO Action.org. Chelsey, is there anything you would like to say to our audience before we let you go?
I'm just grateful for their time and attention with this issue. I think it's so important to just understand during a time where we're all protecting the vulnerable among us to not forget that we lose almost 1 million children a year to abortion, and to remember that there are still strides to be made with other vulnerable among us to protect. And I'm grateful for those who come alongside and partner with us, but continue to not go about your daily life unchanged. You know, think about the vulnerable among us, whether it's moms or the preborn children, and then how you can personally engage with your life, your resources, your time, whatever it may be, to just join that support system. That's what I would encourage everybody to do.
Well, thank you, Chelsey Youman, for being on the show today on I'm Refocused Radio here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer in San Antonio, Texas. Like we say on every single show, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.
Hi, San Antonio. Need a barber? Visit our good friend Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop in San Antonio, Texas, 1733 Babcock Road, and book your appointment today by calling 210-782-5188.